Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we are here to break down two major topics today. We have to talk about how Kliff Kingsbury basically called out Terry McLaurin in a press conference today, and I'm going to even show you the clips of him saying these things. So you're going to get to hear it from him. You're going to see him say it, exactly the emotion that he has, and we're going to do deep dives into everything that he said, because I feel like there were a lot of layers to some of the things he said that maybe some people didn't notice or think about while he was saying them. Also, the Washington Commanders got a big, huge injury update from the last 2 days of practices. Again, yesterday was a jog through, and then today was a full-blown padded practice, full contact, and all of that. We have some really big injury news updates, like some really good news as far as players that we were really hoping would be okay. Sounds like a lot of them may be. We're going to dive into all of that. I want to just go ahead and give you the warning before we even get to the intro that we will be talking about the injury part. That's going to be the first half of the video. We'll get to the Kliff Kingsbury calling out Terry McLaurin the second half of the video, giving y'all that warning now. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, watching every video, watching them all the way through, leaving likes, comments, and all of that. And of course, make sure you pull up and get your tickets. Link is in the description of every video I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. Get your tickets to the live Commanders Kings show that's going down August 24th at the Crystal City Sports Pub, man. And even if you can't go to the event, you can't get tickets, you can also donate to the cause as well. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with the injuries first. And again, the Commanders had a jog through in practice yesterday. So you even had some of the veterans like Laramie Tunsil and Zach Ertz that didn't participate in that practice yesterday at all. It was held in the bubble, and just mind you, it was the new practice bubble. So this was our first time seeing that. I'm gonna show y'all the clips of that and break all of that down when I do my review of everything that went down in practice today. I'm combining yesterday and today's practice in one big video that's gonna come out sometime later this evening or tonight. But either way, they had a jog through, and so no need to worry. Laramie Tunsil and Zach Ertz did not participate in that practice yesterday, but then they participated in the practice today, just to go ahead and give you that update. And Ben Standig brings up an interesting point and question. Maybe that's a possible sign that they will not play in that Bengals game in Monday Night Football, though Dan Quinn has said that some starters would play. So we're expecting some starters to play, but maybe there's guys like the guys that miss vet days, like a Lattimore or a Ertz or a Tunsil, or maybe like a Bobby Wagner. Maybe those guys don't play in this preseason game if they don't play in like random jog throughs and things like that. But I think we should play our starters as much as possible, especially with the fact that the joint practice with the Ravens got canceled. I definitely think we should play as many starters as we can in that upcoming preseason game, because that's it. We don't have a joint practice after that Bengals preseason game on the 18th to look forward to. And then when we play the Ravens in our preseason game on the 23rd, we're playing straight backups. I mean, that's like even more backups than we had out there in that Patriots preseason game back on August 8th. Like, it's going to be the backup of the backups, the guys that are fighting for practice squad spots. For maybe there's some guys that's competing to maybe make the final 53-man roster, but that's going to be even more backup based than even that first Patriots game was. Like, that third one against the Ravens, that's going to be a very interesting game to watch. But you know me, man, I'm going to be watching. I'm going to try to see if I can live stream it, because I'll be in Virginia getting ready for the August 24th show that we're doing live in person and everything like that with the Commanders Kings. So I'll see about that. But my point is, after that Bengals preseason game, there's no real meaningful snaps that the starters could ever get in any situation. There's no more joint practice. There's not another preseason game that they'll play in. Literally until we play the Giants week 1 of the regular season. After that Bengals preseason game, there's nothing in between for the starters to get any meaningful reps against like another team or anything like that. And so that is like, okay, we need to take advantage of this Bengals preseason game and really play as many starters as we can. Now moving on to actual real injury updates. Well, yesterday in the bubble, Skylar Nelson let everybody know that cornerback Bobby Price and running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt were at the practices. They just had non-contact jerseys on, but that's progress. You know what I'm saying? Non-contact jerseys on, that's cool. cool, but at least you're there. You're going through the motions, you're going through the drills and things like that. People just can't make real big contact with you and, you know, throw you to the ground or anything like that. And then Linnell Willingham pointed out the fact that Jordan McGee was back out on the field for the jog through as well. So now that's the first time we've heard about him participating in anything in like over a week. So is it likely that those three end up playing in this upcoming preseason game against the Bengals? Because the starters aren't going to play the entire game. They'll probably play maybe like a couple of series, maybe the first quarter. Highly doubt it, but maybe the entire first half. Who knows? And then after that, we're going to start to rotate in some of the backups and the rotational guys that will play on Sundays, but they're not going to be like definitive starters. So that goes to the point of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Jordan McGee. If those guys are healthy, do they play in this upcoming game against the Bengals on Monday? I mean, this was Thursday when they just went through that jog through, and then today's Friday and they participated some more. We're going to dive into that very soon, but I just wanted to give you the updates that we got yesterday through that jog through first. And so Marcus Mariota, according to Nikki Javala, was getting in some throws after practice, that jog through from yesterday. He was on the field with quarterbacks coach Tavita Pritchard, Jaden Daniels, and Josh Johnson, just getting in some work after the practice. I don't believe he participated in the jog through technically, but after the jog through, he was getting some work done. Linnell Willingham said that Marcus Mariota and Jaden Daniels were getting a good throwing session in post-practice. Mariota has not practiced in some time, but looks to be nothing major, purely precautionary from what we're hearing and seeing so far, but we'll see. And then also George Carmy brought up an excellent point last night / yesterday evening, where he asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you with Noah Brown's health? I mean, he hasn't played a live snap since December 1st versus the Tennessee Titans when we whooped them, and he is expected to be our boundary wide receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin. Now, granted, he had like a severe injury. It was like a lacerated kid. It was something ridiculous. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something that took him out for the rest of last year, including the postseason, right? It was immediately after that Tennessee game. It happened during the Tennessee game. And then we found out after we re-signed him as a free agent, like back in March, that he was good to go, it seemed like. It seemed like he was recovering. He should be good. He should be fine moving forward. Then we get to mandatory minicamp, and he suffers what sounds like, we didn't get to see it, but it sounded like a really bad leg injury. And since then, he's been running around doing drills, doing sharp cuts and stuff like that, but he has not been participating in team drills. So I'm curious from y'all in the comment section, how worried are y'all about this Noah Brown situation? And I can't remember who asked it, but I mentioned it in a video like yesterday or the day before that. Like, honestly, if you had to pick right now, Terry McLaurin gets his contract signed, or Noah Brown comes back 100% healthy, ready to participate in team drills, which one comes first? If you had to vote right now, which one happens first? We're hoping that Terry McLaurin to sign long-term happens first, but I mean, right now, that Noah Brown situation is not looking pretty. But now, moving on to the updates that we got from today's practice, and these are far more optimistic and great news. So first of all, Seawall Sports, she pointed out the fact that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, aka Lil Bill, it was in pads today at practice, not wearing a non-contact jersey as well. So that was a very good sign. Yesterday at the jog through, he had a non-contact jersey on. Remember, he hurt his shoulder against the Patriots in that preseason game. He had some really good runs. He had some really good catches. He was doing a fantastic job. He made catching the ball as a running back look so easy and natural. I mean, he was just plucking the ball out of the air with his hands, not even like from his chest or his body or something like that, just straight up hand catch like a natural wide receiver, and then was also turning and making guys miss afterwards. You saw Chris Rodriguez, he dropped an open screen pass, or look, it was underneath to the sideline. He dropped it. It came straight to like his stomach. He dropped it. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I mean, he makes catching the ball look so natural and easy. And then also the runs that he was doing, the jump cuts, I would argue he probably already has the best contact balance of any running back on this team as far as running through arm tackles. Brian Robinson is good at, fighting through contact to get more yards as far as leaning forward, but Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has this combination of agility and strength and power and an explosion, jump cutting, change of directions, acceleration, deceleration, to where he's just gonna make a lot of people miss a lot of tackles, man. It took for like the second and even sometimes the third guy to bring him down at any point in that Patriots preseason game, but at the same time, while he was having that great game, at some point he went down with a shoulder injury, and then he came out of the game, never went back in, and then we had been hearing since then that he had a shoulder injury and he was missing some practices. And then again yesterday, he finally participated in a practice, but it was a jog through and he had a non-contact jersey on. For him now to move on from the non-contact jersey and he's a full go again, that is huge news in a positive direction, man. And we've been hearing these rumblings of Brian Robinson possibly not being on the roster by week 1, whether it be by trade or release, even though I doubt you release him. He's too valuable to release. And like I even said in my video that I broke that down yesterday, that I think he's a little too valuable to trade, especially since what are you going to get for him? A 10th round pick that doesn't even exist? Like, what is the Brian Robinson value? So keep Brian Robinson on roster. I love Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, but I think that's a really good running back trio with those three: Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and Ja'Cory is undoubtedly the most explosive, the quickest, the shiftiest, the most agile, the best acceleration, the best deceleration, the best change of direction skills, best home run hitting speed potentially out of our entire running back group. But there's still a lot of nuanced veteran stuff that he has to learn, so that's why he's not your starting running back just yet. But his vision is far ahead of what a typical rookie has coming out of the draft. And then Seawall Sports also updated us on the fact that linebacker Jordan McGee was finally back at practice, and not only that, he was in pads. So Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt and Jordan McGee finally back at practice and full pads on, fully participating. Wonderful news, man, because Jordan McGee is going to be a huge part of what our defense does. Joe Wood Jr. told you just a couple of months ago that they literally had plans. Even though Jordan McGee was only a 5th round rookie, they had entire plays and formations designed around Jordan McGee being healthy and available. And the fact that he wasn't, because he kept getting hurt over and over again last season, it really set our defense back because they were having to scramble and kind of freestyle and adapt to the fact that Jordan McGee wasn't out there. Now that it sounds like he's probably back and healthy, that's great news for us. Mark Tyler even said McGee was out there doing individual drills, and you have to feel that he's close to returning to full action. So maybe he wasn't out there going like full 11 on 11s out there tackling people and stuff like that, but at least he was out there in pads and doing individual stuff, and that's huge. The Seawall Sports also updated us on the fact that my guy Tyler Owens was back out there in pads as well. So that's like a trio of ridiculously great news in my opinion, man. We get Jordan McGee, Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, and Tyler Owens back at the same time. So it sounds like a lot of the injuries with them sitting out the past few days was more precautionary than anything else, and I'm just happy to hear that they're back, man, because Tyler Owens, I mean, like I keep saying, even just as a special teamer alone, last year as an undrafted free agent rookie, you have all-pro Revo, all-pro literally because of special teams. Nick Bellore led our team in special teams tackles. Percy Butler just got an extension because of his special teams ability. Tyler Owens, the undrafted free agent rookie out of that whole group of 4 guys I just named, was the one getting double teamed on special teams. Like, it's ridiculous how much of a talent he is on special teams alone. And then let alone this year, he's finally taken that step towards actually playing on defense on Sundays. It's like a linebacker, star position, aka Buffalo nickel, some of y'all call him, big nickel, whatever. Free safety, strong safety. They've been utilizing them in so many different ways in practices, even against the starting team offense. And he has made a lot of plays. And he even looked pretty good in flashes in that preseason game against the Patriots. He made a couple of mistakes, but overall, he had a pretty good showing against the Patriots just a few days ago. But also another update, Seawall Sports let us know that Bobby Price, the corner, was back at practice and in pads, and of course that's a good sign because that means he's probably cleared concussion protocol. Remember, he suffered a concussion against the Patriots in our preseason game back on August 8th. And then Seawall Sports did point out the fact that he was wearing a non-contact jersey, so he's still in the process of like actually returning all the way, but at least he's out there. And then also, what I took from that, the fact that we got all of those updates on all of those different players, but we didn't hear anything about Brandon Coleman. It sounds like to me Brandon Coleman is probably one of the most serious injuries out of all of the recently hurt players from like the past week or two. And that's scary because he's the only definitive starter out of all of those guys. Marcus Mariota's a backup. Jordan McGee will play a lot, but he's not starting over Bobby Wagner nor Frankie Louvu. I love Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, but as of today, he's the 3rd running back on the depth chart at best. Tyler Owens is my guy, but he's not starting at safety over Will Harris and Quan Martin. He'll be a part of the rotation, but he's not starting. Brandon Coleman is, in fact, your starting left guard, point blank, period. Out of all of the injuries that we've had recently, Brandon Coleman is definitely the most concerning because he's the only like pure definitive starter. But at the same time, he seemed injury prone last offseason, but they ended up playing, I believe, like every game last year, including the postseason. So with him, maybe this actually really is just precautionary, where since we're just practicing, might as well hold him out to be safe. But maybe his injury isn't like bad enough to keep him out of games if we had to play a game like tomorrow. But again, since it's training camp, not real games, it's not worth it to throw him out there and risk further injury, making the injury even worse than what it is. Now let's dive into the second half of this video. Kliff Kingsbury calling out Terry McLaurin. And so in his press conference, before we even had our training camp practice today, he dropped a lot of interesting gems. Like, he had some really interesting things to talk about as far as Jaden Daniels. I'm going to talk about that more than likely in my training camp practice breakdown when I show y'all the clips of what happened in practice, breaking down every position group. We'll probably discuss some of those things in that video later on this evening tonight. But I wanted to isolate the Terry McLaurin stuff and separate it. But he said a lot of really interesting things in that press conference. But when talking about Terry, he said, quote, there hasn't been a ton of contact with Terry McLaurin. He's been here, but he's been working with trainers. So, of course, that's a problem. But then he also added that having time on task from last year should expedite getting him and Jaden Daniels reconnected when the time comes. But he's acknowledging the fact that, man, we got to get this guy back. Like, this offense is not going to look as clean and as efficient as a lot of y'all are probably expecting it to be with the fact that Terry McLaurin hasn't been out here. Just because he played with us last year, and that should help when he comes back, but that's not going to mean that he just is automatically going to come back and it's going to be seamless. Again, I want to keep bringing back up how Jamar Chase even said that him holding out last offseason and not coming back until the last second for the regular season, he blames the reason that they missed the playoffs on that. The reason that they had a slow start and lost a few games that they shouldn't have in the beginning of the season was because of the lack of chemistry he had with Joe Burrow. And again, I really keep bringing this up because I want to emphasize Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have not only played together at the NFL level for several years, but they even played a couple of years together back at LSU. Like, if those guys can lose chemistry over one off season, what's stopping Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin from doing the same thing after only playing 1 year together? So Kliff Kingsbury is right, man. We got to get him back as soon as possible. Terry McLaurin being last year could help, but him pulling up late is definitely going to affect how efficient and explosive this offense could potentially be, especially early on in the regular season. It may take some time for them to get back on track, depending on how long Terry McLaurin continues to hold in and all of this type of stuff going on with the contract. Then Kingsbury also said that they want to know exactly what they even are on offense until, quote, we get all of the pieces back, unquote. He said when you don't have your projected 2 outside wide receivers, again, Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown, and also 2 projected starting guards, Brandon Coleman at left guard and Samuel Crosby at right guard, it's hard to gauge what this offense exactly even is. Haven't had a chance to mesh. He said, quote, something we need to get over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Basically, like, man, there's a deadline here. Like, please, can we get this done? Can we get our players back healthy? And can we get Terry McLaurin signed long term, man? Because, I mean, this offense, we're probably going to get off to a rougher start than what people expect because we are missing a lot of pieces. Not just Terry. Again, there's injuries as well. 2 starting guards, another outside receiver in Noah Brown, along with Terry McLaurin. So Kliff Kingsbury is definitely worried. Like, man, we haven't even had the time to really develop the offense and add the extra layers that we want to. Like, granted, we brought in Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel to help with the offense, but we're still missing a lot of core pieces. And then also talking about Terry McLaurin, he said, quote, hasn't been a ton of contact with him. He's been here, but working with trainers until he gets back on the grass. That's when we'll start building that back up, unquote. And he made it clear several times, time together on grass is how you build. Here's the exact clip of him saying that right here.
Yeah, with him or just kind of overall? Like,
with Terry in particular.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a ton of contact with him. You know, he's been here, but he's been working with the trainers. So until he gets back on the grass, that's when we'll start building that back up. You know, that's one of those deals. There's just time on task, and luckily what they had last year to build a lot of rapport and chemistry, and Terry understands our system going into a year or two, so that should expedite the process. But to me, it's time on task together on the grass is really the only way that you can continue to build.
And then Kliff Kingsbury straight up in this part of the clip for 20, and I'm going to show you the 26-second clip after this, where he pretty much calls out Terry McLaurin right here. I mean, this is like literally the closest thing we've ever heard anybody from the team literally telling Terry McLaurin, hey, pull back up. Like, please, we need you. Please come back and start practicing, dog. It's really hurting the team. Here goes Kliff Kingsbury.
Hey, Kliff, going back to Terry real quick, you talk about, gelling with the offense on the grass. How much work are you getting with him in the classroom, and kind of at this point of the season, how high value is that? Is the meeting work?
Yeah, I think, not as much as we would if he was full go. There's no doubt. But I think, like I said, I'm huge on walkthroughs, on practice, things like that, because until you get on the grass and actually do it and feel the timing, feel the depths of routes and things of that nature, I don't know exactly how much you can get out of that. So I think we're kind of at that point to where we need to start getting those guys when they're available out there and gelling and seeing what we are as an offense.
And shouts out to George Carmen. He brings up a good point. These are pretty powerful words from Kliff Kingsbury, man. From an offensive coordinator's perspective, he's understandably wants his guys back out there. And I appreciate the public pressure. Hopefully this spurs some movement. I completely agree. Also, Grant Paulson brings up a good point. He said, I love that Kliff Kingsbury politely nudged Terry McLaurin to get back to work. Politely called him out like, hey, man, what are you doing? Somebody should, and Dan Quinn hasn't gotten close to doing that. McLaurin owes them a season still. He's under contract. He's not a free agent, and I'm all for holding out and in to get paid, but at some point, you're going to hurt your team this season. It's time to come back, Terry. I understand. But I'm working on a video right now where it sounds like Terry McLaurin is demanding way more money and that no team, and reportedly no team in the NFL is willing to give Terry McLaurin what he's asking for right now. So it's not even Adam Peters tripping. It's really Terry. And I believe it's mostly that Buddy Baker guy, his friend agent from the same hometown as him, as Indianapolis and all of that type of stuff. But again, we'll dive into that in a later video. I'll probably do that one later this evening too or something. We'll see. But either way, Jay Daniels MVP brings up a good point. He said this might be a very obvious statement, but this offense led by Jaden Daniels, that is without Terry McLaurin, will take a step back. No other wide receiver on this roster can currently replace his production and his leadership, and there's not many wide receivers like Terry out there that are even available to replace him. So expect this offense if Terry McLaurin's not signed or whatever, and we get the week one, even if we do sign him before week one. But if he waits till the last second, if he waits till after this Bengals preseason game, which is really like the only time that the starters will have a chance to go out there and play together against an opposing team, that's going to affect how we play week one. That's going to affect the offense for week one, even if he signs the day after the Bengals preseason game. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what, this offense may not look as great as you hoped by week one because of this Terry McLaurin holdout, man. He was the best contested catch receiver in the NFL by like 4 or 5 different advanced stats and metrics. It's hard to replace that. And that's also something that can age well as well, which he's probably pointing at when in these contract negotiations with Adam Peters. But again, that's a discussion for another video. And JP Finley brings up an interesting point. He said he's not surprised that Kingsbury gave the most direct answer about wanting Terry back. First of all, number one, Kliff Kingsbury is a direct dude, but also number two, Dan Quinn's job requires diplomacy. Kliff's doesn't. He's purely offense. He's not here to lead the team. That's the reason he's here as an offensive coordinator rather than being the head coach that he was for the Cardinals. And the reason that his head coach experiment with the Cardinals didn't work out because he was purely offense. He's not very diplomatic. He's not very good with worrying about the offense and the defense. He just wants to focus on how do I produce the best offense possible. Terry McLaurin being here prevents him from doing that. And then number three, Kliff's job is to run the offense. The offense needs Terry, basically to the point that I just brought up. I agree with all of those, man. And then also, shouts out to Mason Kinahan for this graphic right here. The Terry timeline. I thought this was really cool. 1 month ago to this day, Terry McLaurin spoke publicly about his contract situation at Eastern Motors. Feels like it has been forever. Go back to July 15th. Terry speaks at Eastern Motors commercial shoot, disappointed and frustrated, were the exact quotes he said. Then 7 days later, July 22nd, Terry does not report the training camp officially becomes a holdout. Then 5 days later, July 27th, he reports the training camp without a new deal in place becomes a hold-in, and he's placed on the PUP list with an ankle injury. Again, that's a fake ankle injury. Everybody knows that. Then 4 days later, he officially requested a trade on July 31st. Then 5 days later, on August 5th, he does not travel with the team to New England, so he's serious about this. And then August 12th, which is just 3 days ago, 7 days after he didn't travel to New England, he's seen watching practice and talking to Adam Peters for the first time since the hold-in started. I mean, like, publicly. And again, like I said, there has to be a reason that they did that, because he easily could have talked to Adam Peters behind the scenes or even waited until later in the practice. He talked to Adam Peters in public for everybody to see, the very small percentage and portion of practice where the media are actually allowed to record and upload things to the internet, Twitter, and whatever. Like, that was the only small portion of practice where we could even see or even know that Terry was talking to Adam Peters. So that had to have been deliberate from both of them, I guess. I don't know. I don't exactly know what message they were trying to send, but they sent something. And then also shouts out to Josh Taylor. He said, I like Kliff's quote on the rest of the wide receiver room too. Very honest answer. And this is a very important part that y'all definitely need to pay attention to, because he's basically calling out the other wide receivers. Like, we're calling out Terry McLaurin, you need to come back. But at the same time, the guys that are here, y'all need to be better. His quote was, quote, it's still a work in progress. And some guys are taking advantage of the opportunities and some have not. That's the call out right there. We know what Debo is. And then there are a lot of guys who are trying to earn a roster spot. That competition has been good, but I still think there's a lot to show over the next 3 weeks, unquote. Basically, y'all have the next 3 weeks to show me something, because Noah Brown out, Terry McLaurin holding out right now. It's not looking good, and we need some guys to step up. And y'all haven't stepped up enough. There's been some interesting competition. There's been some interesting moments in training camp and stuff like that, but nobody has like definitively stepped up. It's like, okay, outside of Debo Samuel, and I guess you can argue Jalen Lane, outside of those two, it really hasn't been pretty. Ja'Cory Brooks continues to make a lot of plays, but he's been fairly inconsistent in practices, but so we'll see. And then also, Commander's Realm brought up a great and funny point about this whole Kliff Kingsbury point of view in the whole situation that I didn't even think about till he said it. He said on Twitter, I don't think Kliff said anything with the intent on calling out or scolding Terry, but I do think he, like many of us, are tired of the saga and want to focus on building an early championship window. And he brings up the point that I'm talking about. He turned down a head coaching job for this, and now he's going through this with Terry. I know he has to be upset. He could be somewhere head coaching right now, making more money and all of that type of stuff. He came back for the purpose of continuity and chemistry. He comes back, Terry's out, holding out, and Noah Brown's hurt. I know Kliff Kingsbury is like, man, I mean, if everything was going to be so discombobbled, I might as well not even come back. I came back with the purpose of running this back from last year, and a lot of these important pieces aren't even here from last year. So I thought that was hilarious, but a good point. Kliff Kingsbury's like, man, I came back because everybody sold me on this dream that we're going to just run it back and if anything only add talent. Now we're missing talent from what we had last year. Also, JP Finley brings up an interesting point. He said offensive coordinators' jobs are to score points. He wants his wide receiver one on the field. What are we even surprised about? Like, I'm not surprised at all. I felt like once Kliff Kingsbury was finally asked directly about Terry McLaurin, that it would lead to quotes like this. And then Brand Weinstein brings up a scary point. He said that Washington's offense hasn't looked that good in practice and, quote, doesn't feel like it's clicking, unquote. So it sounds like the offense is definitely missing Terry from everything Brand Weinstein is seeing at practices. And so please get the guy back. Even John Comm talked about Terry McLaurin. He said, quote, I think we're getting close to that point where they, as in Washington, have to make that decision. When do you activate him? As far as McLaurin from the PUP list with this fake ankle injury. And then at that point, do you make him a final contract offer, like a take it or leave it type of thing? Unquote. And I thought that was an interesting point. We are getting to the point where it's like, all right, there is a deadline here for both Washington and Terry McLaurin. At some point, we have to draw like a final line, a final offer, a final yes or no. Like it gets to a point, man, because again, immediately after this Bengals preseason game, we've already diminished how impactful and efficient our offense could be even going into week one. So even if Terry McLaurin again were to sign the day after the Bengals preseason game, I'm still assuming that it's going to affect our offense in a negative way, even going into week one against the Giants. But let alone if he signs way later after that, or if he doesn't sign a new contract at all going into the regular season, how ugly could this be for us to start this season where we're trying to go win a Super Bowl? Von Miller did not sign with the Commanders to ring chase for no reason. Like, he wants to go win right now, and we don't want to end up like the Bengals did early last season, where they're losing games they have no business losing, and it's purely because of chemistry issues. And then by the time they finally get things clicking and they finally get their chemistry right, it's too late. They've already lost games earlier in the season that they shouldn't have lost. It was literally just due to the fact that Jamar Chase was holding out. Defense was atrocious as well, but Jamar Chase said that it was because he held out, and the chemistry issues with Joe Burrow, which again date back to like 7 years or something like that. But we don't want to end up in that same situation where when we finally get things going, we took a little bit too many L's earlier into the season, and yeah, by January we are one of the best teams in the NFL, but we don't have enough wins to earn our spot into the playoffs to have a chance to show it and to prove it. And now look at just a wasted season. So hopefully we don't end up in that situation. Terry, please return as soon as possible. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the video, man. If you made it this far in the video, salute to you. Really appreciate you. Leave a like on the way out. Really appreciate that support. And also, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the whole injury first half of this video, of course. Let me know how you feel about everything there. And then also, how do you feel about this whole Terry McLaurin situation and Kliff Kingsbury basically calling them out? This is like the first time we've heard anybody actually say, hey, Terry, pull up. What are you doing type of thing. So I love that. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Really appreciate y'all. Again, leave a like on the way out, and also let me know your comments in the comment section about everything going on. Catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.